All right, hey everyone, welcome to Unit 2, Notes 2. Today we are going to be looking at reconciling a bank statement. So just some vocabulary words that I'm going to go through really fast. Your account number is just something that you have on all your checks, your deposit slips. A lot of the times you can just see it through your bank information, which is going to be important if you're linking your account to something. Statement, you'll get some of these in the mail, but sometimes, a lot of times nowadays, they're just electronic, so you just log into your bank account, and that's where you're going to see your balance, your interest, all that kind of fun stuff just in 1 month. Starting balance, we're going to talk about that a little bit today, and it's just at the beginning of a statement period, which is usually like the beginning of a month-long transaction history. That's going to be your starting balance, the amount that is actually in your account. We're talking about checking accounts today, so the amount that's in your checking account at the beginning. Similarly, your ending balance will be what's in the account at the end. Outstanding deposits are things that don't actually show up on your bank statement yet because it usually takes some time to process. So you might make a purchase at the end of a month, but it might not actually go through until next month because, like I say, it takes a little bit of time to process. And that's the same thing with the checks. So deposits and checks, deposits are money going in, checks are money coming out. So you might have been paid, but it might not show up quite yet. And then balancing is just going through the bank's records and your records to see that no errors are being made. What we're going to do today is a lot of what you would maybe do in the past where you had paper and pencil and you were balancing your checkbook. Nowadays, a lot of what we have is an app that we use and we go through and we just double check to make sure that all of our purchases are lining up. And that's probably what you're going to do, but we're still going to talk about the math behind some of these like missing deposits or checks or something like that. So we're just going to start with number 1, pretty easy, straightforward. We're just looking for an algebraic formula to represent our balancing process. So it might seem a little counterintuitive, but we're going to start with the statement ending balance. So that's going to be our A. And to that, we want to deal with our total deposits that we have that are outstanding and our withdrawals that we have outstanding. So again, this is what you are ending your month with, but we are going to take into account the outstanding balances that we have. So for our deposits that are outstanding, deposits mean that money is being added to your account, so we are going to add our deposits. Then from there, our withdrawals, that's going to be money that we are taking out. So we know that we are going to be subtracting those. And then the revised statement balance is going to be our D. So that's going to be what this is all equal to. So this expression is just what's happening when we talk about our revised statement balance. So let's actually look at one of those in an example. So for this one here, we're going to start with our ending balance. Our ending balance is this $3,450.10. We still have to account for these deposits that have not yet shown up on that ending balance. So what we're going to do is we're going to just take this and we're going to add those together. So you're going to do 3,450.10, and we're going to add our deposits. That's our 2,679.20. From there, we also have to account for our checks. And again, checks are things that are being withdrawn. So from there, we are then going to subtract whatever it is that we have not yet paid for, or at least that what has not shown up on our balance yet. So we're going to subtract our $2,190.05. So what you can just do is just type all of this into your calculator real quick. And when you do, you're going to end up with, and that's going to be our revised statement, so we're going to just put that straight down here. That's going to give you $3,939.25. So that is our revised statement. Now let's take a look at these real quick. So I want to look at our revised statement and our check register balance. So our revised statement says that we should have $100 more than that check register balance. So this is not measuring out, it's not equaling out. So we know that there's about $100 missing somewhere. So here it says, if not, how much is missing? That's going to be $100. $100 is missing from somewhere. We're not 100% sure where it's missing from, but in theory, we have more money than we actually should have. So we got to figure out if there's a check that has not gone through yet or something like that. So that's what we would say if it doesn't check out. if these were both the same, like if this was an 8 instead of a 9, then they would match up and we would say, yes, this account is reconciled. It's totally fine. Okay, now we are going to do one that's a little bit larger. So now we are looking at two different things. So here in this problem, we have the bank statement, and then we have like Michael's check register right here. So this is everything that Michael has been keeping track of, and this is what the bank shows right here. So let's figure out what we have and what we don't have. So looking at the bank over here, it looks like they have a deposit of $35. So I'm going to look to see where that is over on his register. So it looks like that's going to be this one right here. So we have this deposit taken care of. I don't really care about these balances over here. I just kind of care about just keeping track of what I have. What else do we have? We got to figure out what else we have. We also have a deposit for $100. So it looks like that's going to be this one right up in there. Then we also have a withdrawal for $158.08. So let's figure out where that is. $158.08 is going to be this Best Buy purchase right here. So I'm also going to highlight that. Looks like we also have the $46.50. So that's going to be our Ticketmaster purchase right here. We also have that $74.64 at Bourbon Butcher that we can highlight. And then we have a withdrawal for $19.50. Looks like that was our Pizza Man transaction up here. So what this does is it just figures out what all we have accounted for on the bank statement, and then we have to figure out what are our missing withdrawals, missing deposits, all that kind of fun stuff. So I like to make just two separate columns real quick. And once we have our two columns right here, I'm going to look at my deposits and my withdrawals, and then we're just going to kind of write out everything that we're missing. So if I look at the deposits, I have these two that were not accounted for over here. So I'm just going to write those under my correct column. So that's going to be my $100 and my $125. And I'm just going to add those together real quick, and that's going to get me to a total of $225 that we are missing as far as deposits go. Next, I want to figure out all of my missing withdrawals. So that's going to be this 50, the 48. So I'm going to start writing those down. So I got 50. I've got 48. I have this $9 right here. I'm also missing an $18. I'm missing a $29.10 and a $15 withdrawal as well. So that's everything that I'm missing. I'm going to go ahead and add all that up real quick, and that's going to get me to $169.10. Now we know that when we are talking about withdrawals, we're talking about subtracting that, so that's going to be a minus at the end of the day. Because now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my ending balance, which I know seems a little counterintuitive here, but we're going to take this ending balance from the bank. So that's my $628.23. And I am going to go ahead and add on my deposits and subtract my withdrawals. And what we want to do is we want to see if it ends with their current balance. So that is the goal here. So I'm going to add 225 and subtract 169.10. And at the end of the day, when we do that, we're going to end up with $684.13. So now that we have that, we can take a look at this revised balance, and we want to see if it matches this. It does not match. So what that means is that this account is not reconciled. If it does match, then you're all good. Everything's totally fine. But if not, then there's something that's missing. So what you can do in that case is if it asks you to figure out how much is missing, which is usually what it will do, you just find the difference between those two. So you're going to do 684.13, and we're going to subtract our 641.13 and figure out how much is missing, which is going to give us a total of $43 that are missing. So he should probably go back through his bank statement again. Maybe we missed something, or maybe he needs to call because sometimes, your card can get stolen or something like that. So he's going to have to figure out where is that $43 that he has or should have, right? So that was everything for today. You're going to see a couple of these types of examples and a couple of the simpler ones that we just went through earlier. But go ahead and try the homework, and then, as always, let me know if you have any questions.